Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing great. So today we are back again with another session on Azure Cloud Migration with Xmigrate. Basically, this is Lakshit Pant, your host for today, and I'm Community Relations Manager at Azure Developer Community. And today I'm having Vishnu Kesh with me. He is Red Hat multi certified. He's CKIT engineer, Kubernetes certified. He's a very incredible personality and very precise knowledge about IoT, Python, and OpenStack. So he'll be taking here. Also, he has worked with SRE as an so he has been working as an site reliability engineer at Asian Logic, Routcan India, and many other more firms too. So his work is amazing. So he has been working lately with the Xmigrate tool, which is basically some sort of cloud vendor migration. It helps you to migrate from some particular cloud to some another cloud. If you want to just switch between two clouds, then he is going that this tool helps usually. So I guess he's the right person to talk more about this. So over to you, Vishnu.
Thanks, Lakshit. Thanks for that introduction. Wonderful. So let us start. I have prepared some slides for this presentation. Okay, I will just share my screen and maybe we can go over the slides. So let me present this. Yeah. Hope the screen is visible for everyone, right?
Yes,
Lakshit?
yes, it's visible.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are actually very excited and delighted to present this session or do this session with Azure Developer Community India. This is a session which we are doing uh, we got a gap. Like our first session was 10 months before with Azure Community Group Malaysia, and now we are doing a session again. And in between, a lot of changes had happened with Cross Migrate, and I'm really happy and almost thrilled to announce this or introduce this tool to Azure Developer Community India. So let's begin. Today we will see Cross Migrate how it can help to do cloud migrations to Azure. So a bit about myself. Lakshit covered almost things, but I'm the founder of this Cross Migrate Cloud project, also a multi-cloud and DevOps specialist, open source contributor. As you can see, Cross Migrate is a complete open source project. I'm actively contributing to this project from past 4 years. And you can reach out to me in any of the social media platforms, Twitter, LinkedIn, Medium. Medium, I write a lot, so you can read many contents related to Cross Migrate and other technologies, tools which I work with in the Medium. And in GitHub also you can follow to see, like apart from Cross Migrate, I also have different open source projects which I have written, some frameworks for audio classifications on AML stuffs, um, cyber security stuffs, those kind of things are there. You can go and check out. So if you want to connect with me, and if you want to ask some queries, I prefer reach me out in LinkedIn because I'm pretty very active in LinkedIn. So let's begin with Cross Migrate now. So in a nutshell, what is Cross Migrate? Everyone asks this question, right? Everyone will have that question. So everyone tend to pronounce this tool as it is written Xmigrate, but it is not how it should be pronounced. It is a Cross Migrate, because the name should implies what it does, right? So we always try to tell people that it is always like it is pronounced Cross Migrate instead of X Migrate. So Cross Migrate, it's an open source project which helps to migrate your VMs across cloud or to cloud from anywhere. So if you let's take an example, like say you have an VM deployed in AWS, and one day you want to move that to Azure or GCP, or let's say if you have a VM deployed in your on-prem data center and someday you want to move that VM to any of this cloud, and you might need to rely on different tools to do that. For each cloud vendor, they have their own tools to do this migration, right? And this is very hard for engineers to learn all these multiple tools to do this migration. So Cross Migrate aims to reduce that learning curve with multiple tools. Cross Migrate have the capacity to migrate VMs from anywhere to these three major cloud providers: Amazon, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So that's in a nutshell what our product does. It's completely open source as well. That's in a nutshell what the product does. So let's jump into the demo. And while doing the demo, we will get a lot of time because this cloning, converting, and building the server in the target cloud, it takes much time, like around 30 minutes it will take. So during that demo, during those phases, I will just jump into the architecture and the features and the use cases for this product, so that you can just so I will not take much of time of all of you. It's like just seeing the demo, like waiting for 20 to 30 minutes to cloning to complete. Now let's do it more interactively. So yeah, so this is our GitHub repo. Or one more thing, like before jumping to the demo, I would like to share. I will like to show the architecture and explain a little bit around there, because uh, the prerequisites, I want to also tell you about the prerequisites for this application, how it can be run, and from where this migration is happening. It will be easy for you to see it in an eagle eye of view. This is a high level architecture diagram of deployment of cross migrate product. So you can see source cloud and target cloud in green box, and source cloud in a blue box. So here in the target cloud, we are deploying cross migrate application. Cross migrate application is written in Python, and its backend is MongoDB database. So also we need an object storage service here in the target cloud. So in our demo, we are trying to do a migration from AWS EC2 instance to Azure cloud. So we have deployed cross migrate application in the Azure cloud, and we have created an object storage service in the Azure cloud. The blob storage, we have already created one in the target cloud in our Azure account. I will show that to you. And the landing soon web server, this is the product, I mean output of this migration. Cross migrate will be creating the landing soon. Landing soon is nothing but the networking resources for the for the target cloud, and then the web server which get migrated from the source cloud to the target cloud. So this is a high level architecture diagram of cross migrate. We have to deploy this cross migrate application in the target cloud. We need to create a object storage service. If it is in Azure, blob storage. If it is in GCP, Google Cloud Storage bucket. If it is in Azure, sorry, if it is in AWS, then S3 bucket. So that is the requirement. We are only using object storage for cloning the image and storing the image. We are not using any more servers in between. We are only using this um, object storage service. That is one key difference with other cloud migration tools. In all other cloud migration tools, they use a staging server. They will also have a staging server here, which will take all the disk images from the source cloud, source VM, and then move that to the object storage, then create the AMI or whatever, then build the VM from that. That's how most of the cloud migration tools works. But this, we are eliminating the need of the instance here, a staging server or replication server here. There are advantages and disadvantages for that. We will come to that later. But this is pretty easy for doing a quick migrations. It is like a 400 GB or 200 GB, 500 GB hard disk attached machines. This is enough. And when it comes to the storage, let's say this application server which we need to migrate is of 100 GB of hard disk. And then what we need here is 200 GB free storage space to hold the disk of this particular source VM. Why? Because for to Azure migration, there is a requirement that we need to migrate. We need to clone the image in VHD format. We need to convert that to VHD format. But how we are doing is we are cloning the image as a raw format and storing that to the object storage. Once it is reached the object storage, if it is 100 GB of data, then what we do is we download that to the cross migrate for converting that image to a VHD format. We need to convert raw image to VHD to VHD uh, format to pass that to disk image creation, OS disk image creation service in Azure. So Azure only accept disk images in VHD format. That is a requirement from Azure side. So we need to convert that. So we download that 100 GB cloned image from object storage to cross migrate application, and then in the application we convert that raw image to VHD using different utilities. Then upload that VHD file back to the object storage service. So that's why we need like if this is a 100 GB server, we need to have 200 GB free space in the application server. So yeah, that is a requirement. I just want to highlight and go through all the requirements you should uh, prerequisites you should be created before trying out a migration with cross migrate. So let's now go to the demo. And yeah, before that, I would also like to go through this Docker Compose YAML. So this is the Git repo of Cross Migrate, and here you will see most of the things which we have right now, and we will be updating. We will be filling these columns with check marks in a month or so. So yeah, for deploying cross migrate, you don't have to do much thing. You can do with the Docker Compose utility. You can just do Docker Compose up. The application will be up and running. The one, sorry, not this file. The one thing which you should be aware of, or um, you should be careful is about that you just set your username and passwords for the MongoDB backend. So this Docker Compose, what it do is it will run the application, also the MongoDB, and with a utility called Mongo Express, which you can see the data, how the data is stored in the MongoDB database. Basically, Mongo Express is a client for MongoDB. So just make sure you have a good username and password for MongoDB, and you have passed that information correctly over here. And then what you should have is that this thing cross migrate latest, you can look for the tags. I mean, like currently we are off with the beta underscore 0.4.0. That is the latest version of cross migrate. So you can see there we have different tags for each version. So if you want to run a specific version of cross migrate, you can do that as well. And then what you need to be careful about is the base URL. Yeah, here you need to pass the public IP of the server where you are running cross migrate. This is needed because uh, the VM, like the VM which we are trying to migrate, we will try to get some information from that VM prior to migration. We do run some discovery scripts in the source VM, and that source VM needs to know to which API it should post the uh, results or gathered information from of the source VM. So this is the API endpoint for this is a base URL. It's not the API endpoint for that. So this base URL we need to pass as an environment variable. So the and make sure that one second, yeah, make sure that this application server, the source VM which you need to migrate, should be able to communicate to the application deployed here. on the public IP on that particular port where the application is running. Otherwise, it will fail to update the status and the informations gathered from the application server. So the migration process, it contains several steps. First step is the discovery, then it's the blueprint creation, then it is the cloning of disk, then conversion, then build. These are all the five steps which are included for the migration. And for doing that we need to ensure that this source VM have proper connectivity with the cross migrate application, and it should also have outbound internet connectivity to send data to the object storage service. In our case, it is the storage account, Azure storage account. So that's all I want to talk about this Docker Compose and the prerequisites. All right, now let me open my Visual Studio Code. So let me stop this application first. So here you can see I have cloned this repo, cross migrate repo, and I have all this file over here. And in the Docker Compose file, I have updated the public IP of this particular VM. I'm running Visual Studio Code as like in on a remote SSH target. So if you see here, like Visual Studio have the capability to run code on a remote SSH machines, remote machine using SSH. So this is that, and here I have given the public IP of the mission, which is this, which is it is running the application. So that you can see the application is exposed on port 8000, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I just updated this URL here with the public IP, and I am just using the same passwords for the sake of this demo, the root example. I don't care because it's all running local in local, and this MongoDB and other stuffs will not be accessible in the public. So yeah, let's start the application. So as I said, for starting the application, what you all need is to do sudo docker compose up. So yeah, open in browser. So the application is up and running now. Visual Studio also provide, like, even if that is running in local host in a different machine, you can always do a port forward from here. So port 8000 is forwarded to localhost 8000 of my laptop. And if you want to look at the Mongo Express, you can go to 8081 port. That also I will show you quickly. Localhost 8081. Yeah. So here you can see the migration collection, sorry, migration database, and all the different collection which we have here. So let me log in, close. So is a dev demo. I created a project already beforehand for doing this session. So while creating a project, I will quickly show you. What we need to do is you just need to give a project name, then select the cloud provider. If AWS, then select access key secret key, give the access key secret key, and then it will ask for the region. Put the region name, then you have to enter the storage bucket details, bucket name, access key, and secret key, then create the project. That's all for AWS. And for Azure, you need to create a service principal. And while you create a service principal, you will get all this information: subscription ID, client ID, secret key, tenant ID, all this thing. You need to pass it here, and then again it will uh, ask for you to select a region where you want to create this thing, and then you also need to pass the resource group name. So make sure that when you create Azure project, the resource group name you are passing should not be there already. It should be a new resource group name for this cross migrate to work with. And then it will ask for the storage account name and the access key for that. For GCP, it is different. You need to, this is the service account JSON file we need to upload. When you create a service account, you can download an JSON file for accessing it. It contains all the private key and other related information which we need to interact, which we will need to interact with the GCP SDK. So here the project ID you need to give, and then upload this file. Then again select the region, give the GCP bucket username, GCP bucket name, then access key and secret key. Done. So I have done already this part. I created the project already. So let me get back here. Is it demo discovery? All right. All right. I just need to sign into my GCP once, sorry, AWS 1 second. So for this demo, I have deployed one VM in AWS, and I just deployed I just configured, not configured, I just installed Apache to there. 1 second. A46. Oh, no. S3. I will also log into my Azure portal. I just want to show you the mm, storage account and other details there. So this is the VM which I created. This is the public IP of the VM. And if I go to this IP, you'll be able to see Apache 2 to default page. I just installed Apache 2, and this is the default HTML page which load there. So I just want to see show you that it's a web server. Like if I paste any PHP, or like if I configure PHP or CMS system like Drupal or WordPress, it will just work. I didn't have much time, to be frank. I didn't have much time to configure all that. I just installed this, and I have this page over here. So what our aim is that, we need to migrate this VM as it is to Azure, and we should after migrating that to Azure and attaching a network security to that VM, we should be able to see that page with that IP, in that IP, public IP. That is our objective here. So instances, yeah, here in our target cloud, cross migrate release is the storage account which I am using now, and it have a container called OS disk. Yeah, you have to create a container also within the storage account. This information also you need to pass when you are creating the project. So OS disk, you can see now there is nothing, right? So when we do the cloning, when the cloning is completed, there will be one .raw file, and when the conversion is completed, you will also see the .vhd file over here. So now let's get back here. I have also a dev demo. So as I mentioned earlier, when you create project, you pass a resource group name. So I have already created a project. So when I create that project, it will create that resource group in my Azure account. So you can see no resources here in a dev demo resource group now. Okay, let me copy this IP and the server IPs I'm giving here. If you have multiple VMs to migrate, you can pass multiple IPs here, or even you can pass the host names here. Like if cross migrate is able to, if cross migrate is deployed locally there or somewhere, then it will able to resolve the host names as well, right? And also private IP you can give, that is of course fine. Like this, you can have multiple IPs. You cannot give same IPs, it will throw a validation error. So Ubuntu and password, like you, the only thing is like if you have multiple IPs or multiple VMs to do discovery and migration, then all these VMs should have a common username and password. So currently we only have one, and even for one, it will take much time. It won't take much time. It may take 15-20 minutes. So let's see. Currently, I think that is a 8 GB of data which we are trying to migrate. So let's submit. This is the discovery process. So the discovery process is also nothing. We are running couple of Ansible playbooks with that source VM, and like we are also installing the dependency. Like you can see, installing Azure tools and Python. So for a VM to migrate to Azure, we need to make sure it it has certain tools installed already, like a WL Linux agent, which is required for Azure, and Cloud Init agent we need to install and configure, and deprovision the VM with the WA agent. Yeah, deploying. Then we are deploying a payload which do the discovery, and I'm executing. We are executing that, and you can see what it was doing. Sudo tmb footprint. So it's a binary compiled. It's a frozen Python file, a compiled Python file. In layman terms, a compiled Python file. So it have all the dependency installed within. So we don't need to install any dependency for that Python script to run in the source VM. And this is what is getting executed to send uh, to gather the information and post that to this URL. This is the URL where our application is deployed. So yeah, status is 200. It was fine, all good, and it skipped many of other playbooks. So that is because like we also have playbooks written for CentOS 7 migration. So it skipped that playbooks which are the task which should be running on CentOS 7. So let's go to blueprint. So here you can see now we have the informations gathered of that particular mission, the host name, IP, subnet, network, the CPU details, and memory details. And when I expanded that, you will also see the disk details. Currently, there is only one disk attached to it, and it's almost 8 gigabytes. If you have multiple disks, then there will be multiple rows with mount path, disk size, and block ID of that disk and all. So now we have this discovered. Let's say if you have 10 VMs discovered already, and we need to migrate all those 10 VMs, um, you can do that simply. But like the blueprint creation, it is the art, or it is the work to be done by the cloud engineer or the cloud architect. So they should analyze the source VMs, the subnets, the networks, how the network is segregated to different subnets, and which all machines are going to which subnet. All these things should be understood, analyzed by the solution architect who is doing this migration, who is designing this migration. Then the engineer, they can just create this networks like this. So here it is using 172.31 range, right? So if there is a VPN direct connect or something between the source and target cloud, um, there shouldn't be, IP shouldn't be overlapping. So I'm going to use a different range altogether, 192 range. And then here I'm giving subnet a name and subnet SCIDR. Here it is /20, but for the ease of understanding on things, I'm just giving /24. So 255 IPs for subnet 1. And I can decide whether this subnetwork should be public or private. So I'm just giving that public. Then let's do click on create. It won't create anything at the Azure account. It will just we are now in the process of creating a blueprint. Once you create the blueprint, then when we click on the build network, then it will do the it will create the network resources in Azure account. So standard B1S. So here IP is not created yet. When it is created, you will be able to see it here. So we need to select the mission type. So I'm just choosing standard B1S. It is very similar to the T2 micro instance which we have in their source cloud. So you can see the core is one and RAM is one, and standard B1 is very similar to that configuration. Now we have the blueprint ready. So let's say you have multiple subnets, then what you can do is you can just drag and drop that two different subnets. So when you create the subnet, if you have 10 VMs, it will come under that subnet, all the 10 VMs. And if you want to create another subnet and move some of the missions to that subnet, you can easily do that by dragging and dropping these two those subnets. And after you are good, after you are satisfied with your blueprint design, you can click on save. The blueprint save would be successful. Then you can initiate build network. It is kind of taking around 2-3 minutes. It will take 2-3 minutes, I believe. So let's go to Azure and just quickly check. Yeah, here the VNet is created. We should be able to see the interface and the public IP. Only the VNet is getting created. We can also check here in the terminal. Okay, these are the things which are getting executed. Okay, network provisioning public IP metric 8.2. So I think okay, with yesterday's so basically I was doing some things yesterday with project creation and all. I did a test run with this, so I forgot to clean up the database. Let me quickly see it here. Yeah, that is the case here. It is not creating a public IP because in my database it is showing it is already created. So if it is already created, then it will not try to create it. So what I will do here is I will just remove this, and we will just create that blueprint once again and quickly retry that thing. Clicking. I will just refresh test the demo blueprint. I will just delete this and then recreate that network. Okay, before doing that, I will also just delete it from the resource group as well for just to be safe. Currently, this will not get deleted. Like when I deleted the network, it deleted from the blueprint collection, not blueprint collection. It deleted from the database. If we go here, it just deleted from the network and subnet collections. It just deleted from there, not from the Azure account. And currently it does not do that. So create network and then subnet, same public. Again, selecting the standard B1S, save, build network. So now if you look here, let's wait for that logs. Now we have a lots of logging because we are still in beta, and we need to know like where is this getting failed. So we have a lot of logs like this. We are just printing the outputs for some of the requests, and in between function calls directly in the application. Let's also check in the should demo resource group. Okay, the network interfaces got created. I think. Hmm. Okay, provisioning. All of these tasks are done. So, but still it is not showing. I think I created the network before it got deleted. So I assume we need to retry this again. Or give me a second. How that you can check that is we also have logs written inside the uh, container. Let's quickly go there. exec dash it, sorry, docker exec dash it is 7 bash. So there is a log file called app.log. Let's just get it. I'm just looking for any errors. I couldn't find any errors here. Oh, okay. It just took some time. It is not an error. It just took some time for the VNet and subnet to get created. I think that happened because I deleted one which was got created in the same name before, and it just waited for that deletion to complete maybe. So we are all good. We are all good to go. We just so you know now where also look to look at the errors. The app.log file. I wanted to show that also. Exit, then the cross migrate. Okay, you'll see the build network is successful for localhost.local domain VM. And let's close this. Now the clone button is enabled here, and other convert and build it is all disabled. You cannot click those button, and build network is also disabled. Save you can still do, you can still change this, and you do that, you can do that. And let start cloning. This cloning process is going to take some time, and currently there are no means to monitor it from the cross migrate web console. What you will only see is the status changes here once once it is successfully initiated. The status message, the status will change to 22, and when it is completed, it will change this to 25. So let's go to go to Azure account, and let's see here cross migrate release storage account here, and let's do monitor. And before going, I already showed you the container OS disk which was empty before, right? So I'm giving this monitoring to 1 hour, and we should be able to start seeing ingress in gigabytes now. So let's wait, let's give it like 1 or 2 minutes, and let's check that again. Meanwhile, let's look at the logs as well here. You can see the cloning is awaiting, and this is a Ansible script which we are executing, Ansible playbook which we are executing to the source VM. So cloning got started, and let me refresh this. So you can see the cloning got started. That is why it is 304.1 MB ingress it is showing here. When it hits 8 GB, our cloning will get completed. So let's say we started at 12. So yeah, you might be thinking why it is 12 for me. It might be 1:30 for you guys. Yeah, I'm not in India. I'm in Armenia, Yerevan. I'm doing this from here. So I'm working here for like from past 3 months. So our office is here, so I'm here. So that's why my time is 12 here. So we started the cloning at 12 o'clock, and let's see how much minutes it will take to complete the cloning process. So let's do a refresh, and I will be going back to the presentation now. Yeah. So let's go back to presentation because it is going to take a while. It is going to take at least 15 to 20 minutes to finish this cloning process. So let me get back here. Present, present. So I explained you about the architecture overview of Cross Migrate Cloud. So yeah, in medias, before it was Cross Migrate, it was called Blue Throat, and I have also written an something about the tool at long back, and some people in some blogs also it have came the Blue Throat, and in DevOps.com also it was featured as a cloud migration open source tool. So that's media attention which we got in 2018 or 19, I think. So what cross migrate solves? I already told few things, but what it solves actually. So the main objective is to bring portability for VMs created in any cloud or platform. So all the VMs, all the operating systems, it won't natively support, or it won't natively support to be migrated to a different platform or cloud, because the kernel supported in different platforms will be different, and many other parameters would be different for different cloud platforms or different platforms. It depends on the underlying virtualization technology of each platform. So there is no native way where you can just pop it out or you can just export the VM and then import it in other cloud. There is no native way of doing that. So cross migrate is an enabler for the VMs to be portable. So the VMs would be like with cross migrate, you should be able to migrate a VM which you created anywhere to any of these public cloud which we currently support now, which are AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So that is the main target or objective for cross migrate project. We are aiming the portabilities for VMs as we have now with containers. So that's the main objective, primary objective. And secondarily, we are trying to eliminate the need of learning multiple tools for different cloud platforms. Like there are many cloud migration tools. Even AWS, Azure, GCP have their own cloud migration tools. But the problem with those tools are they only support migration of VMs or servers towards their cloud, not for all cloud, right? Those tools will not won't support migration of VMs across clouds. It will only support migration of VMs towards their cloud. So that brings in a need of a cloud engineer or an architect to go and study about all these um, tools. For example, Azure Site Recovery, Cloud Azure, Certo, etc., etc. There are many other tools, commercial tools as well in the market now. So that is we are trying to eliminate. We will have one tool which will be a standard for doing the cloud migrations to all these cloud platforms. And we are actually reaching that maturity. So we are also engaging with different customers with these tools, and we are understanding real industrial problems to solve all that with easily using cross migrate cloud project. So another use case, it is not a use case for cross migrate but for all cloud migration tools. So let's say an example of a customer who have a CRM or ERP legacy system. So they might have implemented that years before, 10 or 12 or 13 years before, and it is there unmaintained, and it still works. No one is touching that. It still works. So suddenly, maybe because of this during this pandemic time, during COVID, there are many customers who went to cloud. So during such difficult times comes, people want to adopt cloud, right? Or as part of business decisions or something, they want to move to cloud. As part of their digital transformation journey, they want to move everything to cloud. And when comes to this kind of legacy systems or applications, which are kind of heart of the entire IT department of IT department of the company, then they tend to avoid touching that VM because they are afraid if anything breaks, if it won't work, what they will do, right? They might need to bring in consultants for making that alive again, or they might need to bring other consultants who are well with those ERP systems, and it costs a lot, right? And they're afraid to touch that because they have a feeling that it is going to break if we do that migration from where it is right now to a different cloud. It might not work well, and even while doing the migration, that application might get broken, that server might get broken. So they leave that machines there in their data center, so they will still have the data center even though everything else have moved to the public cloud. So in we are trying to solve that kind of problems with the legacy systems and applications to help them to migrate that to cloud at very low cost in the sense the tool cross migrate itself, this project is open source. They can anyone who have the experience like a cloud engineer or DevOps experience can actually go to the code and make some changes, tweak it here and there, and make it work for their particular use case. So that is the main advantage of this open source cross cloud migration tool, cross migrate. So features currently support. Before getting there, let me quickly see what is the status of the cloning. So we can also check it here. This status is 22. It needs to be 25 to be completely done. Let's see here how much data it got cloned so far. Mm. So it is 6.27 gigabytes. So almost 2 more GBs to go. I think before that it will be completed. Okay, anyways, we will go back here, which is currently support. Let me present again. So these are the main features which we currently support. So migration of infrastructure to Azure, AWS, and GCP, right? And in Azure, we support operating systems Ubuntu 18.04, CentOS 7 at the moment. So we will also support. We will be also supporting Red Hat 7.8 versions and Ubuntu 20.04 versions in near future. And we'll also add more Linux OS flavor support with Azure and all these cloud, yeah, and all these three clouds. Currently in AWS, we support Red Hat 7.8, CentOS 7.8, Ubuntu 18.04. And with AWS, there's a small issue which we are trying to solve. AWS is not able to migrate VMs with the GPT partitions. So that we are trying to solve, and hopefully that is also going to be there for free in a month's time. And migration of infrastructure to GCP, it only currently support Red Hat 7. We already identified the fixes for other operating systems, so it will be also there in a month's time, like CentOS and Ubuntu operating systems. And for migration of servers with a multiple disk, it was not supported previously. It was only supported for the root disk migration. Cross migrate was only supported for that. But now it support VMs with multiple disk. There will be a OS disk. There will be application data disk. There will be multiple disk for different use cases. So it supports now. And the environment discovery, as you just saw, that we are discovering the environment of the source VM, and we are displaying that in a table so that the cloud engineer or architect can analyze it, right? So that also we have in the cross migrate application. Then yeah, the other amazing feature is that it is agentless. You don't need to install any agent in the source VMs. Many Mostly many of the security teams in the organization might not agree with you installing a new agent in uh, their environment. So it's agentless. You can do without agent the migrations without agent. It is just that we copy some scripts over there, execute it, and get the data, then create the VM. We are not putting any agent for uh, doing this sort of thing. And then automatic network creation and server build for the landing zone. Like when we migrate a VM from source to a different target cloud, we are also creating the network, the VNet virtual network, and the subnets in that, and the network interface cards for the VMs and public IPs if required. All of these are done within cross migrate. You don't have to go to the target cloud and create all this prerequisite before doing the migration. And yeah, Xmigrate, sorry, I said Xmigrate, should be cross migrate. The cross migrate, it can be run in any platform where there is a container runtime. It only need a container runtime to be running. Like it doesn't need a lot of dependencies to be installed on the application server where you are going to deploy the cross migrate application. You just need to have a Docker runtime there, and you can just Docker runtime and Docker compose there, and you can just run the application without installing any of the dependency. That is very easy for you. You don't have to meddle with all these dependency resolving issues. It's all already done for you. So yeah, that is a kind of last slide. So I will come to that later. So yeah, let's see whether this got completed. Yeah, cloning got completed successfully around 12:15. So 8 GB of data, 12 to 12:15, 15 minutes it might have taken. So let's see it more accurate here. Oh, 11:59, and by 12:13 it got completed. So almost 14 minutes. All right, good. Now let's go to cross migrate and start the convert. So as I said, okay, while doing that convert, let's also go here in the containers and the OS disk, and you can see that there is a raw image copied over here, right? So now in few minutes it will also upload a VHD format. Cloning completed, message is there, and convert should begin in any moment from now. I just want to make sure I have enough free disk space in this machine. Oh, okay. I have 47 gigs available, so it is fine. Okay, download started. Download might. Okay, download is completed, and conversion is started. And if that is the case, then okay, it should be inside the container. It should be inside the container slash app OS disk folder. You will be able to see this file downloaded, and there will be a converted file which is .vhd file. Okay, so that is uploaded. Let me see. The uploading was very fast because this VM is in the same cloud. So yeah, convert completed successfully. So now we can build the VM. All right, this is the last process which will actually create the VM. So here we have the VHD file, and if I go to Azure Dev Demo Resource Group, you should be able to see the VNet and network interface and the public IP address, right? And this is the source VM, right? The source VM, still the application is running without any trouble. And here we don't have any VM yet created. Now we are hitting the build button to create the VM. So in a few minutes it should be coming here. The logs, I'm just running this in with like without the dash d with the Docker compose, because just to show the logs and everything. If you want to run it as a daemon, you can, or run it in the background, you can do sudo docker compose app with a dash d. Yeah, so the image got created here. You can see that here now, right? Let's wait. Yeah. So the virtual machine is here. Ta-da. So it's getting created. It's creating now. Currently, this VM is not attached to any network security group. This is also something which you have to do after provisioning the VM. So I have already created a network security group in a different resource group. I will just go here, open SSH. So I have this port 80 and port 22 role already added here. So what I will do is I will just associate this network security group with our local host local domain VM which we just created. So believe me, there are no other virtual machines in this account. This is the only one. This is just we just created it. The public IP of this VM is this 102, right? Let's go to AZ dev demo resource group, local host, local domain here. Yeah, it's the same 102. And if I go here, okay, let's give it some time. It's just creating. Okay, it is running. Come on. Okay, let's give it a few minutes. And because the VM needs to get started, all the daemon, all the services and everything should get started, right? Okay, let me. Sorry. I think that was a login authentication failure thing. Is a dev demo and in blueprint. Now the status has changed to 100, and let me see. Yeah, here we have the application page over here. So we migrated a web server, Apache 2 web server, from AWS EC2 instance to Azure cloud using cross migrate. Now that is completed. So now I have few more things to convey to you. This is the website for our project, and if you want to try it out and while trying it out you feel some troubles, then you can raise a question here. We can start a new discussion here in Q&A or in general. And if you have some ideas to be implemented, like if you think this feature will be good, then you can submit as an idea. And if you find out something useful, a hacky way of thing or something, you can just add a discussion in show and tell. So yeah, please make use of this place. Currently we are like there are not much users for this application. Most of them are like enterprise users at the moment. Not many of them are using the cross migrate as an open source. Like we are supporting many of the enterprises to use this tool for doing the migrations. So yeah, that's all about. And if you like this presentation and this project, this initiative, please give us a star over here and follow our LinkedIn page Cross Migrate. That's all. Assured Developer Community India for today. So Lakshit, over to you.
Yeah, so thank you for giving the particular demo. That was incredible. You mean, means I have seen so many migration tools in my, like, I'm also a cloud guy. I have seen such tools, but they are a bit complicated. The tool working with them, they are just like, sometimes you get lost where how to do this, how to do this. And there are so many complexities. But this tool was amazing. I'll definitely try it out. And thank you for coming in. Thank you for showing
Yeah,
the demo.
and
Really.
Lakshit, sorry, I forgot to mention few more things. The last slide which I skipped, I will take a minute. Sorry for that.
Yeah,
So
no worries.
I don't want to share the screen, but okay,
Yes, yes, you can share.
okay, thank you. So I actually skipped that to the last, but let me quickly thank you. This like these are the our contributors. You know, Rahul, Nihil, and Rion. So Rahul is the full stack front end dev who is implementing our front end designs and everything. You know, and Nihil is a DevOps specialist who is also helping me with the backend and the automation stuff which we are doing within the cross migrate project, like a containerization of the image and all the stuffs. And Rion is the guy who is continuously improving our UI UX of this application. I just got reminded when you told about that design, how easy it is, you know. So I really like to thank all of these members, which we are those who are working with me to make this product up to this level. So we will still continue work together, and we are also expecting more contributors from Azure developer community and other communities all over India to collaborate and contribute to this project. And
Yeah, sure. We
yeah,
will definitely try. We will definitely share this at our end. We will definitely share your cross platform to for cloud migration and everything. So thanks for joining in. By the way, it was and that's the last gesture that you have shown. That was very incredible because giving the credit to the team is very necessary. By the way, so
yeah,
thanks
yeah.
for thanks for that, and thanks for joining in. We will this live stream is quickly available on our YouTube, guys. You can just check it out at any time you find anything, you got any query. So I'm just sharing the I've shared the LinkedIn profile of uh, Vishnu in the comment section, so you can just check it out. You can ask any doubts, any queries you want to contribute with him in open source field, so you can just ask him out for that too. So that's it from our side, guys. Thank you, have a nice day. Thank you, Vishnu, have a nice day, you too.
Thank you, Lakshit. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.